gonna cut these tabs out, so let's clean it up and make it more like it was supposed to be. Side by side, obviously you can see a huge difference between these manifolds.
Second and most important reason we're swapping this valve cover is that.
This is a Bosch electronic throttle body. We're converting the car over to drive-by-wire. We don't have the parts that we need to continue.
All right, we are back. Finally got a lot of the missing parts. This was probably one of the hardest parts to locate. This is a stock diff bushing for the Ford Explorer. This is the front bushing, and apparently no one sells this except for a full solid billet piece, which is great and all for a race car, but on a street car you kind of want something a little softer. We got this. What else we also got our pedal we were waiting on, so the whole adapter bracket plus the CAMARO pedal. We got our shipment from Vibrant in to redo some intercooler piping. We weren't waiting for this.
Here we were.
This piece?
Yeah, that wasn't here.
Oh yeah, that's right. That literally showed up the day you left.
Yeah.
Or whatever, the next day. I forgot. Yeah, we were waiting for this piece.
It's crazy to think about how much actually goes into converting this car over to the Ford rear end, especially when we're trying to make it drive with OEM quality.
I am sanding the little flanged edge needs to get sanded down because where they have this welded on, it's right up against the bracket. So just need to take a little bit off the top.
We're gonna go ahead and grease up your brake calipers because they were seized before and not moving, and now they are. It's a new Spicer flange to bolt to your 8.8 diff because your stock one isn't gonna work. To put your transmission through the ultimate test, we're upgrading everything. This was your old U-joint flange for your old diff. This is the new one going into the 8.8. So we just got to put a new universal joint in here, get it all pressed in, and slide it on the drive shaft.
We want to clean up the control arms a bit, but most importantly we need to press out these hubs and put in the bigger billet hubs for the bigger axles.
Okay, I'm getting ready to sand down your subframe to get this bar, which is very critical to getting the differential into the car because this enables us to mount the front of your 8.8 differential to the subframe, weld it all in, and it'll be rock solid.
This thing gets sandwiched in the middle of the diff. This is our new rear diff mount for the Ford, so that just gets sandwiched in the middle, and this thing just kind of bolts back on. Just like that. I think let's get it in. We'll get it all the way in, and then as long as everything lines up, we'll tack up a few spots, and then we pull it all back out. On this this side, it's gonna hit the fuel and brake lines. That bar, well, that's kind of annoying. This new front diff support bar ends up crushing our fuel and brake lines. So this needs to get relocated. I think let's just take off both of these brackets and let's push this back up and see where it needs to go.
We're having a big issue with this bolt-in kit hitting the brake lines and the fuel lines, and then also the rear tubs for where your interior would be. So we cut a bunch off of the ends, and now I'm making the holes a little bigger so we can try to move this whole subframe inward towards the diff a little bit more and actually drop the diff down along with it so we can clear up space and actually get our pinion angle correct.
Looks good. Our drive shaft looks like it's spot on. That's all the way in. Yep. Give it a little. Drive shaft fits perfect.
This might vibrate if we leave it as is. The new mount is really close to this part of the body, so I'm marking it so when we pull everything back out after it's tacked, we can go ahead and just give it a little love tap. We don't want this car to rust because it's very precious to Ben, so we're gonna cover up this so he doesn't have holes in his floor in a couple of years.
Turned out pretty good. Okay, we can paint this. Because we're going to change up the throttle body, we need to redo some of the upper intercooler pipe. So we're basically going to recreate this, but a little differently. So we got Vibrant, some new Vibrant intercooler piping. We have their Vibrant HD clamp, and we got our welder, professional welder Wyatt, W1 Fabrication. He's going to give us a little hand today, welding up some intercooler piping.
Let's do it.
Got our upper intercooler pipe done, got our blow-off valve flange welded on, we've got an IAT bung because we were running the S2000 manifold before and that had the factory S2000 intake air temp sensors, so switching to the K-Power one doesn't have that provision, so we have to add that to our upper intercooler pipe. Got it all rolled and everything, and yeah, fits perfect. We're keeping it simple with just a coupler and clamp setup on this part of it, but everything else we'll use these quick Vibrant HD clamps. Just hooking up our breather system here. We tapped the back of the valve cover. It's got a -8 fitting off the back of the valve cover. That's gonna get routed, tucked kind of around and underneath the engine. And then we're gonna come back and route it up to this intake. We're just gonna do a simple here, back to there. Got some -8 line. Try to route it as clean as possible.
So we want to keep all that VALVOLINE inside this differential. So we're going to use some Honda Bond. Get this plate all mushed together. We got to seal up both sides and then make sure we get everything lined up nicely so the cover sits on there, since there's no alignment pins with this new rear mount. We've got the diff in, we've got our brake lines on, and we are ready to toss this up in the car, make sure it fits one last time, and hopefully not have to pull it back out.
If we can anchor our fuel lines to the chassis, we got it all to clear. It's not rubbing on anything. Our brake line, relocated a little bit, seems to fit perfect. No need for a no drive shaft. This is just a quick Google search for drive shaft angle so we could just demonstrate it very easy. But yeah, if everything's perfectly in line, great. Typically that's not always the case. You have the second option here. And as long as your input and output flange of the diff and the trans are parallel with each other, that's still kind of acceptable. But if they're different, that's kind of a no. That's where you're gonna get lots of vibrations.
VALVOLINE bag makes it nice and easy.
The Ford rear differential install is now finally complete, but before we get it on the dyno to test it out, we've got more work to do in the engine bay.
We are doing a little rewiring here. Kind of a few things. We've got, we're doing a different map sensor, so I'm kind of just doing this the easy and dirty way of just splicing in our new pigtails from our new map sensor, our throttle body, our new intake air temp sensor, and the new injectors. So yeah, just kind of peel back some sheathing and get some new these new pigtails wired in, and yeah, get this thing started.
All right, so Andy's up there finishing off wiring. I need to make sure this car's gonna drive straight. Makes a decent amount of power, so we don't want Ben crashing this beautiful machine into the side of the road. So I need to get it all dialed in so it drives nice and straight.
We're basically splicing in this pigtail connector from that came with your drive-by-wire pedal. We're gonna make a little sub harness that runs over to the ECU.
Obviously, we're doing the Ford Explorer rear end swap on the RX7 during this series, and that's kind of the biggest thing. But there's a couple other items that we're doing as well, including this. This is a CAMARO throttle pedal, just because we want more brands in this car. No, it is an electronic throttle. So we're gonna get rid of the cable system that's in the car and go to electronic. The reason for that is because the throttle ratio between the Mazda cable and the S2000 throttle body that I was using before is a little different. So the actual throw in the pedal was very short. I only had maybe an inch to play, which made it hard to have a little bit more precise throttle movements. Also, my throttle body was a little warped, probably from welding the vibrant clamp on the end of it. So we're gonna get rid of that and go to a electronic throttle body with this so that we can do more fancy tuning stuff with it, and also just more future-proofing this car for maybe some extra stuff that we'll do down the road. So we're gonna put this in, hopefully make the throttle feel way better. I want this car to be the most enjoyable driving experience that I can have. So we're gonna put this guy in here, which requires a lot of wiring work that Andy will be doing, as well as changing out the throttle body and intake manifold and all that jazz.
Here we have your factory RX7 pedal that I just pulled out. This was previously a cable pedal. And obviously we are going to this guy here, which is a electronic driven by wire. Here you go, this RX7 part, so it's like what, $400 on eBay? Time to get some coffee. We're gonna go ahead, swap out the transmission fluid with some VALVOLINE because this stuff is seen all 48 states, and it's probably time to go. Continuing on with our flavor of the day, we've got some 5W30 VALVOLINE oil we're gonna put in here because, Ben, when's the last time you changed oil?
I don't remember, honestly.
He doesn't remember. That's not a good thing, guys. You need to pick yourself up some VALVOLINE and change it if you don't remember.
kind of base tuning done. Got the drive-by-wire stuff all set up, calibrated. Idle's good. Throttle control seems good. Our new map sensor's calibrated. I've got the new injectors kind of scaled in pretty close. The next step, I think, is just getting it on the dyno. Changed a few things that are kind of the fundamentals, I guess, with the requiring tuning, like the injectors. We're running different injectors now with the intention of maybe going more power in the 85 and stuff down the road, but with the new injectors we need to kind of, that changes the entire fueling of the car, so we at least need to retune and get the fueling back to where it was. We're also with the drive-by-wire, we're trying to tune a little bit more of the drivability to it, maybe change like the throttle mapping a bit so it's just a nicer, more pleasant car to drive. And that's about, we peak at around 14, 15 PSI. I'm happy if you're happy.
I'm happy.
If you want me to go up, I'll go up. I'm not coming in tomorrow to change an engine.
Well, we know the diff can handle it.
Andy continues to refine the tune, and he settled it down around 400 wheel horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque. We also added some flames to our launch control as a fun party trick. I think it's worth it. The tune is complete, but unfortunately it's snowing outside, so we can't do a proper burnout to break in the new rear diff. I guess we're just gonna have to do it inside Andy's shop. Andy, thanks yet again. Nice gloves.
Thanks, you need them in
It's a
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin thing, yeah. Well, I can't really test the car out because it is completely white outside because it's
But you did test the car out.
Yeah, it's got a lot of grip in here, but I can't really open it up, so we'll have to do that maybe when we get home. I'll send you a video of a burnout at home. All right, well, thanks.
No problem. Safe drive home.
Thanks. See ya.
Get back to work.
Freaking hooks, man! I was on the brakes. As soon as the booty starts going towards the wall, I'm like, I gotta let off. It's literally, it's hooking too much. Yeah. Yeah.